Hey, welcome to the breakdown with your not so humble talking hairdo, Ben. Week 10, episode 10. We're into double digits now, folks. How cool is that? I'm excited. I know that. I tell you what, I'd like to thank my producer extraordinaire, Sam Wolf, for making all this happen like he does. This is not as easy as one might think to put together, so we do really appreciate that. And we are live here at the Majestic Coffee Shop at the Neon Parrot Live Studios in downtown Abilene, Texas. It's actually cool in here now. In the lean, and it feels like fall. We got some leaves falling from the trees. It's really great. So the way this show is going to go today is a little bit different. I have actually a guest that I am going to be bringing on early due to scheduling, and we're actually very soon. We are going to have our guest being simulcast like into the program to where y'all can see it on your screen, whatever guest I have. So, but for now, we're going to be calling our guests because our mic is badass and our producer can make it happen. So right now, we normally start with college football. But today we're going to start with the NFL because I've got a surprise guest for all you breakdown people. And that is Big Frank, the super fan from Chicago, the Bears fan. So I'm going to see if I can't get him on the line real quick. And so just be patient with me. And we're going to get this thing going. I don't know how happy he's going to be to talk about the Bears, but we're going to see. And I got lots of other questions for him, too, regarding the NFL and on some other teams, and see if he can help me out with some picks. But anyways, here we go. We're going to give this a shot. Breakdown.
Yo,
Big Frank.
Ben.
How are you?
What's going on, buddy? How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Well, you're live on the breakdown with Ben, week 10. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us. It's a good day to be in Texas today, Ben. Down here in Chicago, we're in the midst of cold weather and a snowstorm already.
Oh, man.
We probably got about 2 inches on the ground, and it's blowing and cold. So.
Oh boy, man! It sounds like it sounds like that game tonight in I think it's Cleveland might be a little cold there too, huh?
Yeah, if this weather heads up towards that way, Cleveland's about a 5-hour drive due east to here. So whatever comes through here usually heads up over there next. So it could be a good one tonight. So
nice. All right, well, I gotta start with you know who. We gotta start out with our Bears. What the hell's going on, Big Frank?
Well, what the hell's going on has been what the hell's been going on for the past God knows how many years around here. Not the right head coach for the situation. The same thing over and over again. We've drafted a quarterback in the first round the last 3 times we've been able to, and the first 2 were misses. This kid seems to be the real deal, but you surround him with a coach and an offensive coordinator that really don't know how to develop them, and this is what you get. That he's kind of regressed, and this guy is on his way out again. I'm sure at the end of the year they'll fire him, and then hopefully they can hire the right guy this time instead of some defensive-minded coach that really has no idea on how to develop a young quarterback, especially somebody with skills like that. It's just the same thing here. This kid's got a lot of talent around him. They went out and, Roma Dunze they drafted. They got Keenan Williams. They got Cole Kmet. a lot of weapons. The offensive line is not that great, but hey, you should be able to do it, and we just haven't been. I mean, I don't have to tell you that Washington loss with the Hail Mary was ridiculous. And then last week, we're there. We go to all the games. It's okay. You're driving. You got 23 seconds left on the clock with one timeout. So you decide to not run another play to get closer and then kick a field goal or maybe even possibly, score a touchdown maybe. And then you still have your timeout to use it to try a field goal. No, he runs it down to a second, calls a timeout, and you got a 46-yard field goal to kick, which is not automatic. And another loss.
Yeah, that one hurt. That one hurt for sure.
It hurt with the Washington game, too. I mean, I'm sure that thing's been discussed on death. That's on national TV. You have 3 timeouts in your pocket, and everybody says, well, cover the short pass because they're just going to try to get closer to throw the Hail Mary because they're too far. They don't do it. They give them another free play there, and then the Hail Mary, and then you got Tyreek Stevenson down the sidelines, jawing with the fans, not looking at the play while it's going on. I'm sure you've seen clips of that.
Oh, yeah.
Where, I mean, and he, instead of him being in the play, and boom, Hail Mary, and you're down. I mean, how that guy's not cut the next day off the team, I'll never know, because you just don't do that. You don't survive something like that. So
absolutely, I do. If you had your pick, what coach would you want if
Well, here's the thing. Last year when they had to reset this, we got this new general manager, this Ryan Poles, good young kid, come from Kansas City. He, the deal of the century with Carolina, got their first round pick last year, and then the Bears still had another first round. So obviously everybody knows Caleb Williams, right, is going to be the next pick, generational quarterback, all that stuff. Okay.
Right.
So that at the last game of the year when Carolina had the worst record, so you got the first pick. This guy's record for 2 years, he's only won 10 games. Okay, he won 3 his first year and won 7. You're going to move on from Justin Fields, right? Everybody knows it. So why you don't reset everybody altogether? Last year, the biggest thing out here, Jim Harbaugh. Drafted him. We drafted him in the first round. He was a quarterback here, a Ditka protege, okay? Fiery type guy. He wants to leave Michigan. We don't even talk to him because apparently it's not the type of personality the owners of the Bears want.
Oh,
because
no.
He's too outgoing. He's too Ditka-like. We don't even talk to that guy. That's a travesty right there. How you can't tell me that Jim Harbaugh would rather go to San Diego instead of Chicago if they were offering.
They didn't
talk to him.
Wow.
They didn't talk to Mike Vrabel when they fired him. There was rumors out there that you're hearing that Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions, doesn't want to take any head coaching job. He wants someone like a young quarterback. We got one in Caleb Williams, but never was even offered.
Wow.
So, I mean, there's so many things, but no, they decided they wanted to stick with this guy and give him another, try. And we started off 4-2, but if you look at it, that 4-2, we were playing some lousy teams, and we should have been instead of us being 4-6 right now, we could easily be 7-3. You shouldn't have lost the Washington game. Indy beat us the second game out of the year. We played horrible, and then that fiasco last week with the last minute field goal. Again, you could be a whole lot better, but we and that's how we got out of the slump after they lost to the New England Patriots 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Okay. And as you know, me and my son were season tickets. We go to the games. That was just a horrible display. So they fire the offensive coordinator the next day, Shane Waldron, which they should have got rid of him weeks ago.
Yeah.
And, we do a little bit better this last Sunday, but still only put up 19 points. But again, still had a chance to win the game at the end. So they're just playing it out, and we'll see what happens,
Absolutely. Well,
between your Raiders and our Bears, Ben,
oh,
we might be able to get a good team together one of these days.
yeah, no
So,
kidding, man. Oh man, I didn't even want to mention the Raiders today. Yikes, that's not worth talking about.
well, neither one of them are, but I mean, it's frustrating because here again, there was so much enthusiasm and hype going into this year, and
Absolutely.
it's just it got there in the beginning. You're talking playoffs, and then the division that we're in. You got Detroit who's running away with it. You got Green Bay. You got Minnesota, and here's the thing. Okay, we played Green Bay last week. We got the Vikings home this week,
Oh man.
and then don't waste your time on Thanksgiving ruining your turkey dinner because we have the early game against the Lions on Thanksgiving. So you're going to watch that and then go eat.
Oh
So
man.
then after that, we got to play San Francisco. And then we got Green Bay, Detroit, Minnesota again. And then we got Seattle mixed in there the day after Christmas. So those are our remaining games. So you tell me how many of those we're going to win.
Oh man, yeah,
Not many.
that's a tough division too in the wintertime. Oh my gosh,
No, yeah.
that's no
I mean, you got
joke.
home field advantage over here, but it's like it's they just don't have the right people to develop this kid, and it's unfortunate because this kid's good, but if you could ruin somebody by not having the good coaching with him. The only thing that they can do is really look into next year on who they want to bring in to help develop this kid get to the next level.
Absolutely.
So, and then, they say, well, Jaden Daniels is having a good year. What happens if, did we pick the wrong guy? Let me tell you something. You could have put Jaden Daniels here. You could put Bo Nix here because they're all talking about those kids. And even the kid, I think it's Drake May from New England. You could have put any of them over here and they all would have failed because it's the system and what you have to develop these guys. So it's just bad. It's bad. So
Well, we can just keep our finger crossed and keep hoping, but man, I think you pretty much nailed that take right there, Big Frank. Jeez.
yeah. I'll tell you what, Ben, I'd like to if you could. Give me a call every week. We can go over.
That's my plan.
Game by game, and I can keep you informed what's going on down here.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's kind of my plan is to have you be a reoccurring weekly guest throughout the playoffs, throughout the, all the way up to till we get to the Super Bowl. And that would be great. And normally, we'll make sure that we coordinate this good. And I did have one more question for you
Go ahead.
for the breakdown. I always do my Thursday night pick. So, my Pittsburgh Steelers are my son's team. They're at at Cleveland tonight. The Steelers are a 3-point favorite. Could this be a trap game for the Steelers? What do you think's going to do here?
I don't know. It could be. Cleveland is another dumpster fire. I think that Deshaun Watson thing, just totally, but it's a Thursday night game. But Pittsburgh, they got to keep on winning. I'm surprised it's not more than 3 points. So
Right.
I understand what you're saying, maybe, about a trap game, but I don't think. I think Pittsburgh is way much better than Cleveland. And even if it's bad weather, they both play good and bad weather, but Pittsburgh's got a much more talented team. And I think they got to keep on winning, especially, you got to worry, well, is there a letdown after the Ravens game last week when they beat them?
Right.
But they're only scoring field goals too.
Yeah.
Last week they only scored 18 points,
Yeah,
So,
and could Jameis Winston throw for 300 or something tonight?
yeah, that's
you know
a
what I
tough
mean?
one. I think they're going to win, but Vegas is usually pretty good. They're telling you a reason why it's only. You said it's a 3.5 point.
That's right.
Three or three. Yeah, so that one is a tough one because I think they could win more by 3, but I could also see them, winning a close game. I don't see them losing that game though. I really don't.
Right.
So,
well, that's some great takes, Big Frank, and we'll plan on talking to you next week, and
Sounds good.
to
And
get ahead of our
I'm
Thanksgiving games.
I was sorry that I wasn't be able to come down. I know Jenna and Derek were down in Texas. They seen you last week.
Oh, yeah.
One of these days I'm gonna come back, and one of these days, Ben, we got to get you down to a Bears game because we got the tailgate vehicle.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, we were on ESPN this week on their game day because
That's
they were
right.
filming in the parking lot.
Yeah, Jenna showed me. That is so cool.
Yeah. We got to get you down here for a game, all right?
That sounds great, Big Frank. Thank you again for joining us here at the Breakdown.
I appreciate it, Ben. Talk to you next week.
All right, we'll see you next week.
See ya. Bye.
Well, there's your show, folks. What? We don't need to do anything else other than that. How incredible was that call by Big Frank? Wow, he could have just kept going on and on, and I would have let him. But I know that he was on a time crunch. So, in the future, I'm going to make sure that we have plenty of time to go. But, man, he really broke that down with the Bears stuff. Like, God, that's not – I mean, Big Frank is the Chicago Bear superfan, but the dude knows football. Like, he really does. That was a breakdown from not a crazy fan, but from somebody who really understands the organization that they're dealing with here. And, just, play that one over. Play Big Frank's takes over, and you'll learn something. And that's why I'm so excited that we're going to have him on weekly, because we're all going to learn something. The guy knows the game, and I like his Steelers pick, because this is where – he basically he picks the Steelers to win. Maybe it's by a field goal, maybe it's not by more than 3.5 points. But this is where he's got a football mind, and my gambling mind says Jameis Winston throws for 800 yards tonight out of nowhere. And then they win on a trap game to the Steelers. But you know what? That's probably not going to happen. And Big Frank's probably right about this Steelers game. So, but man, that was great. So show's over. See you guys later. Have a good day. Not really, but man, what a great call. Thanks, Big Frank. Hell yeah. Okay. So that kind of, man, that hyped me up. That kind of switches up the format of the program that I usually do, which is okay. I normally start with college football, which today's going to be different here on the Breakdown. We don't have to do the same thing every time. What I do want to do is, man, while I'm getting over how great that call was, thank you again, Big Frank. I can't wait to listen to that later. So I have to break down the Tyson versus Jake Paul disaster, but I'm going to hold that off for a second because there's something really exciting in our regional Abilene sports scene that just went down. And it is about the ACU Wildcats football team. The ACU defeated Tarleton State 35-31 to earn the program's first conference title since moving to Division I level in 2013. That's huge, guys. But what did Ben tell you? I've been on the Big Purple bandwagon since week 1. And I have damn near picked every win that they've had minus maybe one. And you do your research. Go ahead and look back at the show, and you'll find out that I'm not lying. These guys are real. They're here. After 10 weeks of this show, they win the United Athletic Conference Championship. That's a Division I conference, which means that they now go to the playoffs, the FCS playoffs. So we knew here at the Breakdown that this ACU team was built different and that this program is really going places, and it has no ceiling. This program is going to keep recruiting and stealing badass players from the transfer portal from some of these bigger schools. They're going to be getting more Maverick MacGyvers and more Sam Hickses, and and it's going to be great. So basically, this win means that Abilene Christian University Wildcats will play in the FCS playoff for the first time in school history. School history. Like, we're here at the breakdown basically announcing history that's taking place in our, mid-sized sedan of a city here that we call the Lean. So, that is so exciting. Just to break the game down, just the end of the game for a couple of seconds, Maverick, he led the team down the field at the last seconds for a pass to Sam Hicks, throwing to Sam Hicks for the winning touchdown. And to close out the ACU segment, your boy, Ben, my money is on Maverick. Write it down. Take that to the bank. My money's on Maverick. Just like it has been all season. So good luck in the playoffs, and we'll be watching you, and we'll be breaking you down, ACU and Maverick MacGyver. Go Cats. Go Big Purple. Okay, I'm not going to forget about college football and our picks and our bets. And we kind of touched on the NFL at the beginning of the program with Big Frank. It was mainly Chicago heavy because he's our Chicago heavy hitter, Big Frank. Now, Breakdown family, this is going to be mostly a rant by your boy Ben. What? I'm rolling my sleeves up. I'm gonna break down the Mike Tyson, Jake Paul internet boy debacle. I guess I'm an internet boy now, so I can't talk too much crap. But I have a platform, and so whoever's listening will get to hear my thoughts on this. Okay, this was a complete scam of an embarrassment of a pretend boxing match we've ever witnessed that we all fell for. All of us, 108 million of us. And that's because because we didn't have to pay for it, because we already pay our whatever a month for Netflix. And so that's why it got so many eyeballs. First, we have to acknowledge that Netflix showed us that they are either incapable or not ready for primetime event of this magnitude. The buffering. So I mentioned with Travis on the earlier show that our bedroom TV never glitched, but my computer phone, I was watching my phone because I was waiting for my son to get done with some football before that, and so I was watching some of this, attempting to watch it on my phone to no avail, and none of those other options except for our bedroom TV worked at all throughout the entire thing. So that's me, and I'm getting texts and phone calls from friends from different areas of the state and the country saying, dude, are you having problems or is it just me? And I'm like, well, as of recently, because my internet sucked because it was Optimum, and so I had buffering issues all the time, regularly, so it didn't really matter. But now I have good internet, and I'm not going to plug you because I pay you. So anyways, so I don't have buffering issues anymore except for the other night. And gosh, Netflix has 2 NFL games on Christmas Day. Guys, the Paul Tyson thing was crazy, but like the NFL on holidays, everybody's with their family in the living room or kitchen or wherever, and they're watching sport. They're watching football. Or they at least have it on so they don't have to listen to how Aunt Susie's kids, going to some top college or whatever, or listen to somebody argue about politics, which I witnessed that last weekend. Oh, man, I went to a little Thanksgiving thing with my fiance's family, and it was awesome. I will say that. Her Uncle Steve let this lady have it about, some different things that I won't get into right now, but I loved it. I agreed with everything he said. So here's to you, Steve. Steve's a San Francisco 49ers fan, and he's probably got some pretty crazy takes, too, on football. I might have to get him involved. Okay. So they got 2 matchups. They have the Chiefs at the Steelers, Christmas Day. And Ravens Texans, not as interesting, but it's Christmas Day. But Chiefs Steelers, you're going to have tons of people watching that. And then, not to mention, they will be accompanied by Taylor Swift and Beyonce. They will be like probably doing some kind of halftime shows or something. So there's entertainment elements of all kinds, not just sports. You're going to have all kinds of eyeballs. And like Netflix, you know, you're a streaming company, you're a streaming service. So can you get it together with this deal? I don't know. I don't think so. I think this could be bad. And I think, I am kind of the old man, get off my lawn with all this streaming stuff versus, whether it's direct TV, cable, freaking rabbit ears, whatever you want to call it. Like there's risk. There's high levels of risk involved with all this streaming that we're doing. And I guess it's the way of the future, whether we like it or not. But, 15 years ago, you didn't have to worry about your TV cutting out on a big game or a big fight or whatever, So that's what we have there. The fight. So that's my take on Netflix and their part in this disaster. And the one thing I did like was Rosie Perez was one of the color commentators. And if y'all remember, Rosie Perez was in White Men Can't Jump with Woody Harrelson and Wesley Snipes. Fantastic movie. Just fantastic. So she was really knowledgeable, man. And I got to think that she thought that she was seeing some hot garbage. But yeah, Rosie Perez. The fight. What did we see? What did I see? I have seen countless videos of internet people and their opinions on how and in which way this fight was thrown. And like 3 to 8 different explanations. And any of these explanations for how this fight was rigged and thrown could be valid. And that's a problem. Like, that's the big problem. And, boxing, Jesus. Like, that was a circus event. It was like we were at the carnival. I was looking for funnel cakes, guys. That was really bad. We wanted it to happen. I talked to Travis earlier about this. We wanted Mike Tyson we wanted to at least have him hit Jake Paul, beat him up a little bit, which, I think the problem with all of our opinions on this matter is we all think we know how Mike Tyson is and who he is and how he's feeling, and that he can just go hit people and it's no problem. The guy I saw out there, didn't look right, but he basically walked out there and hobbled around that ring like Joe Biden before his handlers give him the juice that makes him yap. Okay? Like, it was that bad. And D. Grant sent me a video on the ulcer that he supposedly had that postponed this fight months ago, and it was a video of a guy breaking that down. And here, it's another reasonable explanation that Tyson had this bleeding ulcer that he had to get, operated on or something. And it would take a 58-year-old a little bit longer to heal from something like that. But, I've been listening to Mike Tyson on radio programs for 10 years probably, getting interviewed over this, that, or the other. He's a pretty good interview most of the time. Well, the last couple of interviews that I've listened to of his, and that was simulcast and Skyped in or whatever, you can see him. He's just kind of doesn't. There's something that he's always been different. Don't get me wrong, breakdown, but there's something that's been a little different about his recent interviews over the last probably 1 to 3 years that I've noticed. And what is my opinion? I think, well, I guess I'm giving it to you. But the glove biting, Tyson was biting his glove the whole time, and the announcer was trying to, make that go away. He's like, oh, that's what he does. Tyson bites his glove all the time. It's like, no, Tyson hits people hard and knocks them out. That's what Tyson does. If you looked at his, I think it was Roy Jones Jr., them two fought in 2021, and it was during the Rona, and it was like there was no audience, but it was a fight, and you can watch that fight. And Mike Tyson, that was 4 years ago, just about, and he was moving, man. He was hitting Roy Jones. He was, I mean, granted, they were two old guys, but that wasn't that long ago. And he was really fighting and moving. And so this just goes back to how much of a scam this whole thing was. And we've got Michael Irvin of the Dallas Cowboy, former Dallas Cowboy, Hall of Famer. He says, and I don't know if he's just yapping or if he's got some kind of concrete evidence, because I could not find any on the internet as I looked, but he says that Mike Tyson contractually agreed to not throw uppercuts or body shots on Jake Paul. There's yet again another theory of why this sucked and why this was terrible and why Mike Tyson never really threw a punch. He really didn't. And I did not see any of those punches thrown by Mike. No uppercuts, no body shots. So, I mean, there could be something to that. He walked away with $20 million. I thought it was 40 going into this, but there's probably more than what we know about that got shared and passed around. But what I ultimately saw with my eyes during this fight or during this circus was I saw a shell of a human who didn't appear to move well at all. If you're going to throw a fight, you can throw a fight. Boxing is easy to throw because you're simply hitting each other with your fists, okay? And I'm not saying it's an easy thing to do, to be great at it or whatever. I'm just saying of all the combat sports from, wrestling, MMA, shoot fighting, kickboxing, all these other things, boxing is, in my opinion, your talking hairdo's opinion, is the easiest of all combat sports to throw. And we just saw a guy that wasn't even there to play. He did not look with it. And that's my breakdown. That's my take. That's what I saw with my eyes. Because if you're going to throw the fight, which they did, you could at least make it look good. These guys, Mike's been boxing his whole life. He could at least sell it a little better, That was just really awful. So what does this gimmick sham of a fight tell us about boxing to the casual viewer, which probably not, this is my guess, I'm going to say 85 to 90% of us that tried to watch are casual viewers of boxing, the sport. It tells me that in order to get a casual viewer to tune into a boxing match, you have to make it a circus, a theater performance, some viral social media sensation versus somebody who used to be great, and maybe, it's yucky. And it's like that just shows me how far boxing has just fallen off the mat, on life support, barely breathing. It's not looking good for boxing if that's what you got to do to get that many eyeballs, or even half of that. I mean, if you look at the ratings for even a big like a Tyson Fury versus was it Wilder, the two big names, the big heavyweights, those ratings aren't very good. They're not, and people, that's a pay-per-view. So you're having to pay for that, and then or go to your local watering hole that has the fight on. But essentially, those ratings don't even come close to a football game or, an NBA playoff game or anything. So now I don't have those numbers in front of me, but I have looked at them recently, and I love the the history of boxing. I mean, back when it was great, and it's really cool. But here's where we are, and then so that's the Jake Paul Tyson matchup. Let's move on to the rest of this. So the women's fight, Serrano, Katie Taylor, and Amanda Serrano. That was the most interesting fight because those chicks were really trading punches. But what did I see? I saw that Taylor, the Irish Flower, headbutted Serrano so many times that she opened her eyebrow up and bad. And the referee warned her once to not headbutt, and she headbutted the entire time. It was not even close. And I think I counted. I was counting. I counted over, and she was rubbing that eye with her head, with her cornrow, like Trav said. And then straight up, I saw her headbutt her like several times. She should have been disqualified. Like, I guess because you don't want to lose out on your viewers, let it go for a time or two. But after that eye was opened up, I mean, next contact with the head, you're out. You're done. It's over. You lose the belt, So that was rigged. The judges, they give it to Katie Taylor after that. So here again, that was our most interesting fight, and it was completely rigged. One of the fights was agreed to throw between the two dumbasses, Paul and Tyson. The other fight was fought hard and rigged to have an outcome of a winner. And so, that's two different ways that you're not being honest with your product that you're giving sports fans, viewers. And normally there's only one way that you can screw people over in a situation like that. But with this boxing, you did it two different ways. And I heard something interesting earlier. It was either Sam or TJ. I can't remember. But they were like, well, what was agreed upon collectively that nobody was going to lose the belts, the titles. No matter what happened, they weren't going to lose.
It was a money grab.
Yeah, it was a pure money grab, and and I know some of this is going to, it hurts the boxing fan, but what is this? So, goodness gracious, okay. Final thoughts on this entire charade. Will I fall for this again or something like it? Absolutely, I will. I will. Because I'm a sucker. And so will the rest of you. And that is sad. Now, let's...
Who could they get to do something like this again with?
That's a great question. So Sam says, who can they get to do something like this with again?
Because Iron Mike was the one.
He was the one. Who's another one? I think... to a magnitude like this, I think it would have to be, it's got to be somebody famous because I think Conor McGregor is maybe too small, but I don't know. I don't know that they could do it again like this to the magnitude that we just saw because there's only one Mike Tyson.
Yeah. Unless they shifted formats a bit and he did WCW and he's going against Hulk Hogan.
Right. Yeah.
We're going to see that.
And I think what we know, too, is we know Jake Paul will never lose a boxing match. He won't. He will. Yeah, he will never lose a match. So if you're a gambler, you should, keep that in your back pocket. Next time Jake Paul fights, I'm putting a lot of money on that kid. That's what I will do. If he fights again, I'm putting a lot on him because he will not lose. So... goodbye, boxing. Until the carnies and the circus come in town next time. We'll see you later. Okay. So, the breakdown, week 10. I am going to go back into the NFL. Man, we could have ended the show right after Big Frank came on. It was so good. But we've got work to do here. We've got bets to win, whether I pick them right or whether you fade me. We got business here. So, NFL. Thursday night pick, I'm going with Big Frank. We're picking -3.5. The Steelers win by that many points because I'm not going to fade myself and think that Jameis Winston, who is not very good, is going to just go off tonight. But it could be snowing in Cleveland. This could be our first snow game. Steelers are built for it. Cleveland's a dumpster fire, like Big Frank said. So there's my pick. Steelers, -3.5. Jonah, you're welcome. Okay, we covered the Bears. Now, instead of going through too many details here on our NFL stuff, games to watch this weekend, this Sunday. Eagles at Rams. This is going to be a good game. The Rams, and here's the other thing. The point spreads for this weekend are all tight. Like, there are so many 3.5-point spreads for this week of football. It's crazy. So, Eagles at Rams. Rams are a 3.5-point favorite. The Birds, though, they're looking good. But watch out for old man Matty Stafford, because you know what I say. I don't like betting against him. And then, of course, I didn't bet against him last time, and then he lost. So, I don't know. Matt Stafford may start getting a little tired as we move on into the season because he's old. Ravens at Chargers. I can't wait to watch this one. Chargers are, yet again, a 3.5-point favorite. And these are these crazy lines that are, maybe they're just close because we're getting far into the season. So Ravens, Chargers, 3.5. I like the Chargers here. You know, I think, you know, this is a part of the season, and I talked up the Ravens and Lamar Jackson a lot last weekend, but this is kind of that part of the season where, what are the Ravens? Who are you? But you beat people's asses in the regular season. You win enough games to get to playoffs, and then because I think that's what we're going to see this year too. That's my prediction. So I am excited for that. The Chargers, I feel like they bring out a win. I'm gonna take the Chargers at 3.5. Niners at Packers. Niners are a 3-point favorite. I don't know why, really, because the Niners are one of the most overhyped teams in the National Football League. You know, Christian McCaffrey, he's coming off of this injury. He's going to be whatever he is right now. But one thing I do know, and that I have seen with my eyes when I watch these games, because I do, in fact, watch these games. I don't watch all of them, but I watch the ones that I'm betting on, that I pay attention to, and I watch the teams that I think and that appear to be looking good for the playoff picture. So when I watch the 49ers, what do I see? I see Brock Purdy, their quarterback, looks pedestrian whenever he doesn't have all of his pieces that are working, because Brock Purdy is not like a crazy, awesome star quarterback, and everybody knows that, but they think that he can be, a general enough to get it done, and whenever he doesn't have all of his guys working in unison and the defense on track, he can't take the game and win it for you. He's not one of those guys that can just say, all right, I got this. We're a little banged up. We're a little beat up. When they're not all together, he sucks. That's not nice. I mean, maybe he doesn't suck, but he's just, Kyle Shanahan and his, I don't know, man. He's the genius of the NFL. And I don't know. Media darlings, whatever, Santa Clara, San Francisco, wherever you are. I know, where the stadium is not in San Francisco, because they couldn't probably do that because it's a freaking war zone over there. So it's in Santa Clara. It's really pretty there. But they still call themselves the San Francisco 49ers. Okay. We've been covering the Cowboys up all season. The Cowboys season has gone from bad to worse to who'd have thought it could get this bad. Why are they relevant at all? They're relevant because I guess the media still likes to talk about them, but this is the most irrelevant Cowboys team that I've ever seen.
I think Jerry would agree with you by
Yeah.
the Jake Paul fight.
Yeah.
We didn't see one cowboy.
No, you
But
saw.
we saw all the cowgirls.
They did have the Cowgirls. They had the Cowgirl squad out for the fight, and it was at Jerry World. AT&T Stadium was where this boxing match took place, and that's like the most interesting thing that's happened there, and like since it's been built in 2010, and like, oh my God, the Cowboys. Let me see. What are my notes here? Dallas Cowboy play the Washington Commandos in the District of Columbia. Commandos are a 10-point favorite. There's a line for you. Ouch. I think I would take those 10 points. Of course, anything can happen. It's the National Football League, but they got injuries on top of injuries. Cooper Rush, the red-headed stranger, as I like to call him, is at the helm for the Dallas Cowboys. And what does Jerry do next? You know, Jerry's 84. He's 84 years old, and Warren Buffett is also like 90, but that guy makes good freaking moves all the time. So it's not just because he's old. I think it's because he's an idiot. Seriously. I mean, he's been riding off of the fame of 1994 to 1996.
America's team.
Dallas Cowboys, America's team. And it caught on, and the blue star on the helmet, and Michael Irvin and Emmitt Smith and Troy Aikman, and it freaking hung on like a bad cold for all these years. And I don't see them getting any better. I see this ship, quite frankly, literally sinking, actually, because Jerry's going to have a gimmick. Just like he put on the circus that was the Jake Paul-Tyson fight. So in order for Jerry to be relevant and the Cowboys to be relevant, they have to, like, bring in a crazy coach, like a Deion Sanders. Or they have to... Because it's going to have to be more than just signing crazy free agents, because that's not going to be enough to do it. You're going to have to really make the needle move, and it ain't going to be by winning games, because you're not going to win. This is you're going into this world, Dallas Cowboys. You are entering into the Raiders zone, okay? And quite frankly, I will mention the Raiders were in the Super Bowl before the last time the Cowboys made it to the second round of the playoffs. So before everybody trashes my Raiders in the history, too bad, don't forget, we actually historically, recently have done much better than the Cowboys. So I think as long as Jerry's here, which could be a long time, modern medicine, whatever, he might live to be 100, seriously. And as long as he's alive, he will not have a general manager. He will make poor decisions in the free agency and with the draft, and he won't pay the guys he needs to, and he's going to overpay the guys that he shouldn't, like Dak Prescott, who's now after his broken ankle, he was basically immobile. And now with this hamstring, like, you got a guy that can't run anymore, that you're paying $240 million over a period of 4 to 5 years, which is 4 years in football is forever. That's like 30 years, okay? So we'll just see what happens there. Cowboys, in some ways I think the sports world of the NFL world of fandom is rooting for them to go down hard, to not even be relevant. And it's fair. It's fair because what have they given, all the talking hairdos, just talk, the start of a show is Cowboys this and Cowboys that, and they're in Los Angeles. We're actually in Texas. We're 2.5 hours away, but So I don't know what happens to the Cowboys, but I'll be popping my popcorn. I'll be watching. Okay, now college football. We're gonna get into that. I'm gonna kind of do this a little differently. I'm not gonna break down a whole bunch of stuff this week for college football, but I am going to make my picks for the upcoming week. This weekend, I think one of the biggest noon matchups has to be Indiana, number 5, at Ohio State, number 2. The Buckeyes are a 13-point favorite. The Indiana Hoosiers, who are traditionally a basketball school, have been really hyped. They're undefeated, but I'm about to see if I can make one more phone call about my college football with my resident Aggie, my buddy Blake. And I'm going to do that in a moment. Don't snooze on Kentucky at number 3, Texas. Kentucky likes to upset people. And we're going to hear what he has to say about that in a minute. But, I think Ohio State beats the hell out of Indiana. And then Indiana at number 5, what does that do to them? Texas Tech is a 3-point favorite at Oklahoma State. What does that mean? I don't really know. But... geez. All right, we're going to call Blake real quick. And we're going to see what he has to say. I wonder, so he works early in the mornings on these days. And we're going to see exactly if he's still asleep from his shift. But yes, and then in a moment, we're going to get into a little bit of college hoops, mainly from a gambling perspective, like we like to do on The Breakdown with your host, Ben. So I'm going to just see if I can get this cat on the phone real quick. It's 12:20. He should be up. Maybe he's not. I don't know. Blake, you are live on The Breakdown with your not-so-humble host.
What's up, Dan?
I wanted to talk a little college football with you today.
Oh, I would love to.
Okay, so I hope, and you feel free to rant on this program. Hey, what's in the background? Do you got a bird in the background?
That would be called a 65-pound Malin ball that drives me insane. He's my working dog.
It's a dog. Okay.
The old rooster. Yeah, he's going crazy.
Okay, well, that's kind of going to be possibly an issue to our mic situation. Is there any way we can fix that? Come on, get it together.
There we go.
Freaking rookie.
Sorry about that.
Okay, you're live on The Breakdown.
I'm sorry.
Get your dog out of here. Okay. We love Rooster, though. That's okay. All right, so my opinion on the biggest noon matchup has to be the biggest Saturday noon matchup, Indiana number 5 at number 2, Ohio State.
We will finally figure out if Indiana is worth anything at all. I guesstimate that Ohio State is going to decimate Indiana.
So you say take the 13 points for Ohio State.
I think take the 13 points for Ohio State. Indiana has not played a single team. And I may be misquoting this. I think none of their teams they have beaten are even bowl eligible, meaning they're, 5 and whatever that is. You know what I mean? Almost 5 and 5, stuff like that.
Right.
So
yeah, I think you're right there. I think Indiana is going to get exposed. And then what is that going to do to the rankings if Indiana gets beat bad?
I thought the same thing about BYU. And they didn't really fall that far in the rankings.
Right.
So I don't know what the college football, if you're Texas can lose this week, next week, and lose the SEC championship game, and I guarantee you they'll still be in the playoffs. I'm just – it's like I don't get what the big deal about Texas is. That's another team. They haven't beat anybody of note. Their biggest win of the season is against Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
That is their top win of the season. That is ridiculous. So, but again, I don't know.
So, okay, so Texas number 3 plays Kentucky at home.
Kentucky.
And
at
Kentucky
home.
is one of those ones that they like to upset people.
They could. Kentucky's a great upset team. I want it to happen. I dream about it happening. My perfect scenario would be Kentucky beats Texas this week, and then we beat Texas next week, A&M, and then so in order for A&M to get in the playoffs, I'll just skip ahead to this. We have to beat Auburn at Auburn, beat Texas at home, then go win the SEC championship if we even get into the SEC championship, which I think we will because we only have one SEC loss if we beat Texas. Then win the SEC championship just to get into the damn playoffs.
Yeah,
and our record is just as good as anybody else's. Now, the best record in college football right now is Oregon at number 1. I agree with that wholeheartedly. And then Georgia. Georgia has played Bama. They played Tennessee. They played Ole Miss. They've played, they have the number 1 toughest schedule in college football. Second to, nobody else even comes close. Not even close to what Georgia's had to do this year. Now, that's why they have 2 losses. I get that. But, yeah, that right there to me is, but, the SEC right now, man.
Yeah,
what are we going to do?
Crazy.
They don't even want to play in the championship game, man. I don't blame anybody.
Right.
Because you could risk losing. Lane Kiffin said that the other day, and I think I agree with that.
Yeah. So your Aggies are at number 15, and they, as you said, they take on Auburn at Auburn.
Yeah.
A&M,
that's a potential chance for an upset there for A&M.
A&M is A&M is a 2-point favorite. So,
yeah.
But I tell the listeners, I would be nervous there going into Auburn.
Bet on that game. I'm nervous. I hope A&M's nervous. We need to be. Marshall Reed did not travel well when we went to South Carolina.
Do you know who's playing quarterback this week for the Aggies?
Marshall Reed. We do have a ton of injuries. I think right now we have 3 running backs out, 2 wide receivers out, 2 O-line out, and one of our backup quarterbacks is out. And Wigman looked god-awful when he came in against New Mexico State the other day, last week. Reed looked fine. Threw a bunch of balls, completed, I think he was very high percentage completion on the game. Passed the ball a lot more. I think he's been doing what he needs to do to get better at that. I think he was always good at that, but to make that his, okay, let's make sure we can't pass it before we run it kind of attitude.
Right.
So I think this game will tell us where Reed's at. If Reed comes out and does what I hope he's going to do, which is lead the team, make some big throws, use his feet when he needs to, you know what I mean? Just make yardage however we need to make it. I think that'll kind of make everybody feel a little better going into the Texas game if we can beat Auburn the way that we should beat Auburn.
Hell yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show, Blake.
Yeah.
And I'll probably check in with you again next week after we see what happens to our Aggies over the weekend.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll see. But like I said, the only way Aggies are going to the playoffs, what it looks like, is to win out. Win out and win the SEC championship. That's it. So they're the only team that is begging to go to the SEC championship.
Right.
That's our only chance.
Right.
We're not going to get any love from the media ever. And I don't blame them. I hate them for it, but I don't blame them for it because A&M's let us all down over the years. So many times I can't even see straight.
Oh man, I finally had Big Frank on the show when I started the show, and you got to listen to his takes on the Bears and stuff. So good.
Oh gosh, that's hilarious. Awesome.
But anyways, well, you have a great day, and thanks for joining us.
All right, brother. We'll talk to you later.
See ya. All right, breakdown. That's your resident Aggie crying about the Aggies. Not really. We love to have him on because he really does know his college football. Okay, my last college football bet, USC versus UCLA. And UCLA has consistently been covering point spreads for your boy Ben here all season. Everybody sleeps on him. I bet the plus points. I win the plus points with the UCLA Bruins. It's like they just love me this year. Sometimes there's a team that you just love. And if I win enough bets from a particular team, I buy a t-shirt of theirs. So I may be wearing a UCLA Bruins shirt next time you see me if this goes well. Because then we're talking like they've covered 6 different games for me over this last 10 or 11 weeks. So go Bruins. I might even head for the upset against USC because I think they are overrated. Okay, now there's our college football breakdown. We're getting closer to the end of the show here, folks. I really appreciate you hanging in there with me, and hopefully this has been entertaining for everybody because it sure has been for me, let me tell you. Okay. Oh, I wanted to mention before I get into one of my favorite things we're getting into the season as it gets colder, college hoops, baby. But I wanted to not forget about my hockey breakdown, okay? I'm not going to spend too much time about this today because I'm still learning my hockey stuff. I have some ideas. One of them was posed to me, but I'll give him credit for that at some point. But my Seattle Kraken beat the Predators last night 3-0. Or wait, excuse me. Might have been 3-1. Pardon me. My notes here. They are on a 3-0 winning streak. So their 3-game winning streak for your boy, because I picked them as my favorite hockey team. You must understand that's why. And I've even been bet just a couple of bucks, betting the Kraken, and they're like covering and beating people for me, which is so cool. So my Seattle Kraken shirt will be arriving, I think, within the next couple of days. So I may be wearing a Kraken shirt next time you see me. So I've been getting guests on the show the last couple of the last 2 programs, I think, and we've been calling them on cell phone here. The mic's been working good. At some point in the very near future, we're going to get the software to where we can basically Skype them in or something like this to where you can see them on your screen, and it's just going to add a whole nother element of fun. And I've got an idea. Well, this wasn't my idea, but our buddy Ryan Eason from South Dakota, Sodak, we are going to try to get him in for maybe a weekly or bi-weekly hockey breakdown segment. This guy is, how old is he now? 41. So Ryan's 41. He plays rec hockey still, like beer league hockey. And like, seriously. And he does it several times a week. And he's got 2 kids playing hockey. One of them's in travel hockey. For you Southerners out there, it's like travel baseball, pretty much, but on the ice. So anyways, I would love it if he would come in with his super awesome Midwest accent to add to our Midwesterners that are part of this breakdown, okay? And talk hockey. But go Kraken. Okay, now, college hoops. This is a bit of a love affair between me, your not-so-humble host, and college basketball and how it pertains and ties into gambling, okay? So college hoops is something very special to me. In 2019, I think, is when I really got into sports betting. And I got into it about around March Madness time. And at that time, there's a team called Seton Hall that's a school in Orange City, New Jersey. How did I know this? My love affair with Seton Hall happened because we went on a run together that season, me and the Seton Hall Pirates. I do like things piratey, so that helps that it's the Seton Hall Pirates. And, boy, we went on a run. I've never won that many bets, collectively, ever. And it was the Seton Hall Pirates. It was a magical season for them. And I just kept hitting them, and I kept winning. And it was memorable, let's just say, okay? And so there's a mystique about college basketball because it's a game of finesse. It's a game that you have to play defense in college. It's fun to watch. But anybody can be a contender. And just like in that same year, I believe, Texas Tech went to the championship game. They lost, but, I mean, anybody can be a contender. If you have the right pieces and the right coach, you can go in there and make history for your school. And so it's fun to bet on. There's tons of games. There's games right now playing that start at 11. I may have some tasty wagers on, but tonight I'm going to take the Seton Hall Pirates at the Virginia Commonwealth. Like, where is it? We know where that is, but have you heard of that university? I don't know. So Virginia Commonwealth University is a 7-point favorite. Seton Hall, I'm going to say we're going to cover that one. Let's start a new great Seton Hall Pirates season out of Orange City, New Jersey. And then, I like a lot of these East Coast, New York, New Jersey basketball teams. I don't know why. There's a lot of history there. But the other one that I really like are the St. John's Johnnies. They are ranked number 22. And they will meet number 13, our Waco, Texas Baylor Bears. I may have a kid that goes to school there soon. I don't know. So I may be having Baylor gear. Who knows? But Baylor's looks good this year. And they're going to be playing St. John's, who has Rick Pitino, going to be a Hall of Fame coach. The Johnnies have also been real good to your boy Ben in the past. They like to cover spreads. Baylor is a 2-point favorite. I'm taking the Johnnies to cover that 2 points. That's at 6 p.m. tonight. Our Seton Hall game is at 4 p.m. this afternoon. ACU is playing at Southern Mississippi on Monday at 8 p.m. will be their next game. And I was looking at ACU's record earlier, and it looks good. They're playing some serious competition. They play the big bad boys of college basketball sometimes. So we're going to be keeping up with ACU hoops as we move along, as the college basketball season kind of heats up. But that is pretty much going to close out our show. And watch college basketball. It's fun. Don't sleep on it. And we will be keeping you updated on all the college football, NFL action. Thank you to my guests. Thank you, Big Frank, for showing up today and fitting that into your schedule. I can't wait to talk to you next week. And thank you, Blake, for joining me as well for my college football breakdown guest. And thank you again, Sam Wolf, my technical producer extraordinaire. And for this really cool space, the Majestic Coffee Shop at Neon Parrot Live Studios. This is just the coolest venue anybody could ever imagine to be able to do a show like this. And I guess wish me luck this evening. Breakdown. Go Steelers. Go Seton Hall Pirates. You notice I didn't talk about the Raiders game this weekend because I didn't want to. It's gonna be bad. But yeah, we break down the Tyson Paul fight, that charade. Well, Sammy, you ready to take it out? We good?
Yep, you ready to go out?
Yeah, we'll take it out. Play that great tunes that we love. Go Steelers. Go Bears. Let's have an upset this weekend, Bears. How about a Raiders upset? Cowboys suck. Dow ass. Sorry about you. Jets aren't doing so good either. All right, guys. Y'all have a great weekend.